Tasty.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again. My name is Jason Levine, here with D.W. Waterson.
Yo.
And Simone Smith.
Hello.
And great to have you again with us for day 3 of Adobe Live. Again, this is a live interactive chat. We're going to be talking to DW and Simone today about their series, That's My DJ. We're going to be doing some heavy drama today, too,
yes,
right?
We're getting into the thick of things, of diving into Season 3, Episode 6, specifically.
And I think, and Simone was kind of alluding to earlier, one really cool thing, if you haven't checked out this series already, can't emphasize enough, go to YouTube, That's My DJ, binge watch it all. There's 3 seasons, 8 episodes per season, approximately 30 minutes per season to finish them, right?
Yes.
You will, and we also, I think we actually scientifically proved yesterday that Simone has added a little hypersonic audio layer to this, which actually forces you to watch the whole thing in its entirety. This is a good thing. And you really kind of get to see what's happening. But today we're going to get to see sort of a lot of the unused bits from this particular scene. So you're really going to show a lot of before and after kind of stuff.
Yeah, lots of before and after, and kind of deconstruct how we put together episode 6, which is a really heavy episode. And I can see my lead actor, Jade Hassouni.
All right, Jade. Hey. I was just talking about you, man. Wow, very honored. Oh, and Emily's here too.
Oh, amazing. Look at that.
Wow. Okay.
You guys are
much
good.
love. Much love. All right. So, and hello, Chris. Hello, April. Very nice to see you again. Let us know where you are, where you're tuning in from. This is gonna be cool. We got 2 hours together. I'm all words aren't coming out.
Oh, do you need one of our coffee array?
The array of beverages here? No, it's, you know what it is? I'll tell you exactly what it is. I said on day 1, I traditionally was a 12 espresso a day man.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Cut that back in January down to what I like to call 2 New York style deli cups of coffee a day. It was very watery and kind of gross, but it's the way. I was kind of feeling a little sluggish this morning, so I got myself a 2-shot and then a 3-shot latte, and I think now I'm not used to it. You feel me, Jade? Right? You know, right. And you look like shit. All right. Anyway, I think I'm having a pretty decent hair day today. But having said that, let's go right into it, shall we?
Let's jump into it.
All right.
So we're going to play. Should we play?
Do you want to play the original assembly version? Or do we want to show the final?
Let's show the final version of just the montaging up until kind of Megan wakes him up. So this is Picture Lock of episode 6.
Opens can.
So just to set it up a little, episode 6 starts with Sam. He just found out in the previous episode that his friend had OD'd. So we're jumping into the heavy drama of the season. Nice big bruise. Good makeup.
Excellent makeup, right? Exactly.
bands, don't invest it down. Gets a hood state of mind, never gentrified. Shorty never touch raw like. Hold up, what was your name? Hold up, what did you say? My gang.
So we can stop it there. So as you can see, it's a very heavy episode. The goal with this episode was to kind of show a lot of time passing where he is mourning and he's in and out and he doesn't really know what day it is, what time of day it is. He's just spiraling out of control. So if we want to jump back to the beginning of this episode, sound design was really key.
I was going to say that's
in bringing this all together.
Right. And also something, again, very stylistic. After each sort of little vignette, cut to black.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is something I really wanted to play with. I know in feature films and in cinema that's something they use a lot, but in web series not so much. You're trying to hold somebody's attention. You don't want to cut to black. So for us to kind of take a leap of faith a little bit and you know, see what was working, it was not. So let's just play the beginning. So for here we really wanted to establish he's alone, he's sad, he's by himself. But yeah, in post we put a lot of sound design in.
Yeah, there's it's breathing and water droplets.
Cap dripping. When we get to this, where he sees Lucas, that's the sound of a rocket, like a jetpack, flamethrower kind of thing, just to kind of elevate that and make it more surreal because it's not set in reality.
And it's interesting too now, sort of rewatching it. Really, for me, I guess this would be like the third or fourth time, right? There, you actually have like a crescendo of all this noise, right? It starts out in silence, right? Very bright and in silence, and it ends kind of in this dingy, dark light, and it's loud, and like really tense. And for those shaky bits that you're seeing on the camera, that was something that me and my DP did on set, where we would unattach the lens, and then we were shaking the lens slowly to kind of give it that effect of uneasiness and kind of losing it. Yeah. Which is that effect there. Yeah, it's unnerving. Right? It unnerves you. You're on the edge.
And then going to black when we hear that kind of background noise of, say, like a bus passing.
I love that shot. I love that shot just over the bottles there. This one too.
And this scene was really difficult for us to kind of wrap our head around. We got a lot of notes being like, is this necessary? What is this? What are we trying to say? For me, what I was trying to say is, okay, he's up on his feet, at least. He's not sprawled out on the couch anymore. But there was just something that wasn't working about the scene, and it wasn't until we put this kind of like fake fight background
Again,
noise.
the sound design, yeah.
This is it, just soloed. Just
People shouting each other. You don't know.
Exactly.
You're right. You don't know what it is, but it's some other tension happening elsewhere.
So it's interesting that, you know, if you want conflict to be inside him, but he's in a room, he's by himself, how do we achieve that? Think about sound design. Think about, you know, what you can kind of put outside the window. There's a fight going on that immediately gives your audience a sense of conflict, so they can kind of connect that to the character.
And because this happens somewhat early, again, just even as I'm watching, kind of looking at, all right, 45 seconds have gone by or whatever it is, it's like, it's a false sense of hope to the viewer because you think, okay, he's on his feet, it's daylight, he's like coming out. But this is just the beginning. This is really just the beginning, of the spiral. Right.
And again, something that was a little bit difficult for us on set was making sure we had this bruise in different stages because we wanted to show time passing. So that was something that we needed to mark on continuity constantly. And then we had to keep our eye on in post-production as well. Adding sirens, really like fleshing out the scene. And again, cutting to black.
So good.
Again, this is all sound design as well.
This is like Tekken in the background.
Where do you find your sound effects libraries?
There's this website called soundsnap.com, which you know, there's like the super high-end sound libraries that are like $30,000 and you get a hard drive of every sound ever. It's great. But I mean, as an offline editor, it just doesn't make sense for me. Because there's going to be a sound editor coming in, replacing everything. So I use soundsnap.com. It's $200 a year, and you get unlimited access to their library, unlimited downloads.
And I would also say, for those of you, of course, who are leveraging Creative Cloud, don't forget that we have something called Loopology, which contains thousands and thousands of royalty-free music, bits, loops, and 10 or 15,000 sound effects in like 20 different categories. So as an offline editor, actually, that's a good place to start too, because you actually have like jet engines and people in a courtyard shouting. Like it's a good starter. But that's the thing. A lot of these libraries, I found out recently, because these things are like, especially in Hollywood, they've moved around. Like there are certain sounds. There's this particular chicken cluck. Do you know about this?
No.
Ever heard about this? This is like legend.
Oh.
So. In commercials, and I'm trying. It's leaving me now, but it'll come back. There's always this particular quick, or that's a rooster, I guess.
That is a rooster. Yeah.
I know my animals. At least I got it. Okay, so this like rooster sound is evidently this was like a sound that was recorded, in mono on tape in the 50s or something. And it's the same one. Like if you watch a movie from then, you watch where they had some rooster in the 70s.
And it's the same thing?
It's the same thing. And it's gone from library to library. And they just, like, these things were acquired and bought and repackaged.
Yeah.
It's the same sound. Like, it's because it's the rooster.
Yep.
Caw? What is it?
I don't know. I don't know if I can help you.
I don't know. Okay. Tell me. What does that sound called? Yeah.
That happens, especially after, working with different sound effects and stuff. Sometimes I'll hear a door. I'm like, I use that door all the time.
Right. Exactly.
So funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in the background here, we have like video game sound effects. And what Simone threw in, which I love so much, was this countdown, which you see in a lot of video games. Do you wish to continue? Which I thought was a great kind of like inner dialogue of, does Sam, our character, want to continue with the life that he's leading?
And it never counts all the way down to zero.
Right. Again, you're making it very tense here because you want it to resolve.
Yeah.
But it doesn't resolve.
Doesn't resolve.
No.
And then, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but our blacks are getting shorter. So kind of starting to rev up the energy he has. Lots of jump cuts. And that heavy breathing we did in ADR with Jade.
Oh, right.
To kind of just add to the adding of the anxiety of the scene. This is all fake. It's FYI.
That's right. Mint powder? Is that
yeah, mint Tums.
Mint Tums, that's right.
That's what Jade wanted.
Right, that's right. That's the best kind.
That's the best kind.
What's the street value of that?
Cheap.
Yeah,
Cheap,
$2.
Right. Oh, Video Revealed is here. Hey, what is up, Colin?
Sam, it's Megan. Message deleted.
That's my
Next
temp
message.
voice there.
Oh, nice.
Please pick up your fucking message deleted. Next message. Sam.
So this isn't actually the final mix. We jumped into the ADR room because I felt like this scene was kind of also lacking anxiety. And the great thing about, you can picture lock and then you can still kind of tighten up your ADR lines.
Right.
So I got the amazing Emily Pigford to kind of come in and really give me some powerful ADR of her calling Sam in different distress levels. So one kind of being worried about him, the other one being really mad at him, and the other one
just
screaming.
Get it
which
together,
really helped amp up the drama.
And again, you've really got this like crescendo happening here. Yeah, yeah. And you feel it.
I miss you and I need you.
And then same with that throw, we added like glass breaking in the mix and
then, I love the hard contrast of those two extreme emotions right against each other. Going wide into the close. It's all about that hard contrast.
And again, that's that shaking effect of unattaching the lens and shooting while it's moving.
And then that match sound. So we're going off of the sniff crying to the snorting.
Right.
Which is great to kind of be able to, bring images together through the sound.
And this scene actually, it scared me.
Yeah.
There's something really frightening about his demeanor here, and then at the end where he's just kind of slumps and he's just really
And we've seen he's pushed it. He's pushed it too far.
Right.
So that's kind of that montage, which took us a lot of time to do. We were constantly going over it and sending notes to our peers, and this is the episode we got the most notes on because a lot of people had different opinions as to if we should use blacks at all, or if they really liked the blacks, or they were too long, or they were too short.
What was the general? I'm curious. What was the consensus there?
It was all up in the air. It kind of came down to me and Simone.
Yeah, it was pretty controversial, the blacks, because it is a little bit aggravating to watch, but it's meant to be, right?
No, right.
It's not, this is grief. It's not supposed to be easy to swallow. It's this complicated thing.
It's supposed to be tense, right? It's not, you know.
Yeah, when you pull out the blacks, even keeping the edit as is, it just kind of feels like, so what? You know, it's just missing that little extra bite to it.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and it's also one thing, too, I mean, because you see it a lot in, you know, like episodic TV, fade to black versus cut to black, right? Cut is it's so abrupt, it's so aggressive. You're really just, you're kind of giving the finger, you know, to the viewer, too, like, and then you don't know what's going to happen. And because you change the duration, it's very sneaky, Simone. Yeah. It does, though. You're really, it keeps building. And again, as you're watching this on YouTube, like, what? Yeah. You know, you're just like, what's happening? And then you keep
leaning in, and then it kind of cuts out. And the black also symbolizes, you know, maybe he's blacking out.
That's
like he's doing so many drugs that he doesn't really remember what day it is, how much time has passed. Somebody mentioned, I really like how he looks. It looks like he's in different places, but he's still in the same room. I think we did 44 setups that day of just, you know, just kind of run and gun, changing the lighting, blacking out the, you know, changing the bruise, making it more severe, less severe, so we could kind of show that, you know, weeks are going by, and he's not taking care of himself. Yeah. So the next scene we're going to show is just the tail end of this episode. This is when Megan comes in and, you know, encourages Sam to get his shit together. They're best friends. But this scene, we also had to kind of, I had an original intention for this that just wasn't working, so I had to, Simone encouraged me to let it go, and then it worked out.
Listen to your editor, that's what you said yesterday. That's
Where the fuck have you been?
What the fuck are you doing?
You don't pick up your phone? It's homebrew. Get your shit together.
Fuck off, Megan.
I need you. Get up.
So sometimes you think you have something on set and kind of working with these amazing actors, and I was pushing them in a direction. I'm like, yeah, this feels natural how these two characters would interact in this moment. But then when we got to the cut and we realized all the amping up of him mourning, it kind of changed, and we realized, well, Megan would be way more upset. So that's why you see these written ADR lines, which is a note to myself and the sound designer that we need to get these lines and we need to kind of redo them to refit the new structure and idea of this scene. So originally, for this, I wanted to kind of try doing a scare, if that makes sense. Yeah. Where he's so out of it, where he wakes up and he thinks he sees Lucas.
Right.
And we have that jarring, like, you know, almost like a black swan moment.
Right.
And then we realize it's Megan. So I originally shot that scene for him to be woken up by Lucas with a scare. But when we tried it in post, it just wasn't working.
Really?
We tried it in numerous different ways. It just wasn't working, and then we ended up kind of going back.
Now,
to what we had.
Was it like he was seeing his face sort of above him, or like were you cutting in other scenes from something else, or?
So we shot it with Lucas standing at the end of the bed.
So actually, so a new shot. Okay.
And we tried it and it just wasn't working. But yeah, I believe we have that.
Ooh, cool.
We can show the original cut.
By the way, I want to emphasize again, for those of you who are watching and have been watching and will watch this series, we have Sam and Megan, a.k.a. Jade and Emily, in the chat.
Yes.
Let's send some love to Jade and Emily in the chat.
Yeah.
To everyone.
Powerhouses.
Yeah. The powerhouse
the whole team.
That's right. Oh, so cool. And thank you guys for tuning in. That's really awesome.
Here's one. This is the assembly iteration before we had even sat together. So I was just trying to guess what are we doing with this? Yeah.
Where the fuck have you
So again, that's without sound design.
Right.
You know, we were trying to go for that scare. We're like, okay, it's not really working. And then we tried another kind of tactic because we wanted to jar Sam out of this delusional kind of mourning place that he was in.
When you were watching it back, was it that it almost made it almost like horror filmy instead of emotional?
It wasn't fitting the style of the show.
Right.
So then here was another iteration.
Where the fuck have you been?
So cutting back to him, still not quite.
Still not landing.
Yeah. And then
Where the fuck have you been? What the fuck are you doing?
And then this is our final, no?
or it's pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of versions kicking
Final.
around.
What?
Yeah.
Where the fuck have
Yeah,
you been?
this is the final. So
okay.
that previous version didn't cut to Sam before looking at it. So yeah, there's so many. Even though it's fairly simple coverage, it's like
Yeah.
just 3 shots. Many options you can play with the 3 totally change the feeling of
Right.
the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then kind of realizing again, like ADR was required for this scene to really help change the intention.
I'm trying to find that version where we were really messing with stuff. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, this has got to work. And then we watched and we're like, it just does not work at
Yeah.
all. Which, you know, as a director, you have ideas, you read the script, you get on set, you're like, wow, everything's working. But when you get to post, it's a different ballgame. You're not cutting the script. You're not cutting what you think you have.
Right.
You know, again, I said yesterday, your editors know your footage better than you
Right.
do. So trust them.
Trust them.
And when they say, you know, it's probably not going to work, you kind of have to think, is this really worth an hour or 2 of their time to prove to me that it isn't going to work? Or do you want to kind of just trust them and move on?
Right.
So time management.
Yeah, right. Key.
Do you guys split the role, such as directing and organizing people? We definitely have. Oh my God, my mom's on the chat. Lol. Hi, mom.
Oh, Kathy Waterson. I wonder if you're related.
And now her
Hi,
and Emily
Mom.
are just
That's
talking
right.
on the chat.
Right.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, everybody kind of has their assigned role when you're on indie films and stuff.
Yeah.
You kind of have to delegate really well, but everybody's wearing multiple caps. So I was producing as well as directing and kind of post-supervising, because that's, you know, also another skill that I have. And Emily was acting, also producing.
Also producing this whole season, right?
This whole
Yeah.
season, yes, and the season 2 as well. Yeah, so we're definitely wearing multiple hats, but at the end of the day, everybody kind of has their number one,
Right.
what they're responsible for.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I found one more iteration, but I don't think I have the one where we threw in like actual like kind of like.
Oh, yeah, we went like trying to go
horror
full
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that just died and we never.
Yeah.
You sure
Right.
it wasn't the sheep sound from After
Yeah.
Effects?
Oh, that's what I should have done.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would just be like the nerd Easter
Yeah.
egg, you know?
Yeah. It's like 10 people would watch it and be like,
Right,
it's
right.
too scary.
Right,
Turn
right.
it
We go,
off.
what the hell?
Yeah.
Sheep. Yeah.
Where the fuck have you been?
Yeah, and again, with sound design, maybe these could have popped and worked, but at the end of the day, we thought that it was too confusing for the audience to kind of get what was happening that
Right.
quickly.
Right.
So it was best for us to kind of leave the whisper in and then move just to the Megan character, because we wanted people to move through this.
And the whisper, I
episode.
think it really, again, it kind of serves that, it adds, there's still, you're kind of in that creepy, dark place, but without going like slasher
Exactly,
films.
yeah.
Right. It's still the
Yeah.
same feeling that you're trying to convey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As an independent filmmaker, do you think it's possible to be wearing too many hats? Yes.
That's a great question.
Definitely. You know, in pre-production, you really kind of have to sit down and realize what is involved in each role, and to really look at yourself and be like, do I have enough time for this? Because I've worked with people where, unfortunately, they really want to be involved in the project and they're really passionate about it and they say yes, anything, and then, you know, a week goes by and they're really on it, and you hit week 2 and all of a sudden it's, well, I'm busy and
Right.
this and
It's
that,
an
and
exponential drop off.
and the closer you get to shooting, if people aren't pulling their weight and kind of saying what they're going to do, then all of a sudden you're scrambling. It's a day before set, and you've lost a location, or you don't have catering, which is, by the way, craft services is the most important thing to have together for set. Like, if you are asking people to work for free,
Right.
or to kind of like volunteer their time, you got to make sure that they're fed
gotta
and
feed
fed
them.
well.
Right,
So
right.
note that.
Yes. Yeah. Did you ever have any of those days where you had something like, right, we're scheduled for Tuesday and like some part of it fell apart? It was sort
Oh
of-
yeah. In season 2, I remember somebody on my team came up to me and I was just like, "Where's the catering? Like, weren't we supposed to start that 3 days ago? And like, why is there pizza sitting here?" And they were just like, "Oh yeah, we lost the caterer like a day out." and we're just gonna like buy like takeout every day. And I'm like, what? Like for sure we're not gonna be able to hit our budget. We ended up going over budget on our season, and also nobody wants to eat pizza. Pizza is not a meal. Pizza is like a bonus treat at the end of the day if your crew kills it.
It's
but,
Friday lunch at school, K through 8, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's
you
pizza
want
Fridays.
veggies. You
right.
want.
That's right.
You want to make sure, and same in post. You know, I feel like a lot of times editors are kind of like left behind in regards to food. But making sure that you guys are fed and happy, and bringing your editors coffee.
Oh yeah,
big thumbs up.
Yep. It's like just starts the day on the right foot.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, we were talking the other day too. I said when I was editing something a year ago, and I took this picture late at night, and it was a box of Cheez-Its and a glass of Macallan 12, and it was hashtag dinner. I don't recommend that, you know. Well, actually, maybe every now and again. Not for dinner, perhaps.
Yeah, so episode 6 was really challenging for us. It was our most like cinematic episode yet, but I'm really happy with it.
And it really is unlike any other episode in the whole series.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It totally takes a whole other approach, and I think it's effective.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. Actually, I meant to ask you this sort of day one, but it's actually better now. So, if you're like, what would be the episode that you would show to someone to kind of give them the overall picture of like? Is there one in particular
of the whole series?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or maybe one is too hard because you really have. There's so many different.
Each episode is like literally a different emotion, and maybe that's how I structured it.
Maybe so.
Like
Yeah.
emotion per episode.
Because I could see, and I guess. All right, let me rephrase this entire. Strike that. How does it? So if someone were creating a reel, let's say you're creating your reel, creating a reel, and it's like, okay, I do drama, I do action, I do this. Like, what would you pull from each of these? Like, obviously, this would be your drama, right? Like drama, tension, emotion.
Yeah.
What are some of the other sort of categories maybe that you break things into to show off like range of editing, range of directing style?
You know what I have found, because we have to submit for like awards and for festivals and stuff. So you really have to think about this.
What are you example, right? What are you
going to submit?
That was, I think, my first question that I couldn't get out of my mouth.
I
got me. We're
so for season 3, you know what? I think me and Jade actually had this conversation on the phone. Lol, I hope you're watching this and laughing right now. But we think episode 8 kind of across the board shows like our best performance for Jade, for myself, for editing. It shows, mourning in the beginning. It shows him reconciling with Megan, and then we kind of go into this montage, which we haven't shown yet, which we're going to also dig into today, of him seeing all this footage of him and his best friend, and getting a great performance, and then we go into a montage, and then we cut to like 2 months later, and we see him all happy and healthy. So we show the range of like rock bottom Sam to having it together Sam with like a bunch of different techniques.
And would you say that that's sort of, I mean, again, for people who are trying to create something, whether it's a I mean, you just happen to have it contained in one episode.
Yeah, and it's a long episode.
And it's a longer episode, right? Was that like 12 minutes, that one?
Yeah, it was our longest episode. Yeah. Jade's laughing.
Yeah, because, I mean, I guess that's a really hard call. It's kind of like, at the simplest level, like that, what thumbnail do you choose to represent how to make people click? You were talking a little bit about this.
And even when you're putting stuff on YouTube, it's being conscious of what kind of frame grab represents your episode, and then making that your kind of cover still.
And actually, it's Jade. It's a super close up of Jade, right?
Yes.
For
one of my
season 3.
favorite shots with the Ableton overlay.
That's right.
Sick shot.
It's a sick shot. It's memorable too. I mean, that's the thing. And the funny thing is, when you're coming off of these episodes 6 and 7. Just to see the thumbnail, because of course it's great the way you have it structured. Again, as you're binge watching these, you're going to see the next episode will pop up automatically, but you see that thumbnail in advance, and I'm wondering, like, is it the end for him? Like, you don't know. You can't really tell from the look on his face.
Yeah.
Key to fantastic acting, by the way. And it's like it's all kind of in that thumbnail. It's really crucial.
Somebody asked, you may have covered this, but what is the inspiration for the series? Was it your personal experience as a DJ? It definitely was. Being a DJ myself in Toronto, starting out, I don't know how many years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago at this point? I don't know, time is a blur. But looking around the scene, I was so fascinated by so many interesting characters and flashing lights and this amazing music. And let's be honest, like, drama goes down at night. You know, you're not at your office job and like people are breaking up with other people and sleeping with whoever and like, you know, drugs are in the mix. It's at night in the club where all of this craziness is going down.
Right.
So it's like, what a great place to kind of tell a story. And it's so visually captivating.
Right.
So that inspired me to kind of start season 1, and then, you know, more life experience came, and season 2 and season 3.
So when you're thinking about that, and you're thinking like, I want to capture this, were you also simultaneously thinking, okay, now how do I capture the dark of night? Like, were you thinking it almost technically too? Because obviously very different from like a studio shoot or
yes. For me, I always wanted to live in those spaces.
Right.
Because I was DJing at a lot of these bars in Toronto. I knew the owners, and I kind of went to them. And in my head, when I was writing the script, I was like, this would take place at Whale Bar. This would take place at Detour, which are bars that I played. And then I would go and say, hey, I'm shooting something.
Right.
Would you mind if I shot here? Because it takes place here in the script. And they were so lovely and kind and let me use their space. So it's really authentic.
Right.
I'd see it play out in real life. I wrote about it in the script, obviously it being fiction, but then to go back to that space where I kind of pictured it being is pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Filmmakers Journal. He's saying I came dangerously close to acting out a scene from Team America World Police. Montage. All right. All right.
Awesome. Well, let's jump to the next episode.
Yeah, do
episode
7.
7.
I got so many bins open now going through all those. So you can see how many versions we go through for one episode. It's a lot. And always saving the iterations, too. I've had times where they'll spend a whole day on something, and then you realize, like, you know, we just made it all worse. So you go back to the version from the day before.
And I think that's a great lesson, right? Like, that absolutely happens.
Yeah.
There are some days where a lot of time, a lot of sweat. Like, you're so convinced, and you get to the end.
Oh,
yeah,
this is so much better. And then the next day, you're like, what have we done?
That was complete garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not even a matter of fatigue. It's just like you just went in one direction.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was coming together, and you just have to do it again.
That happened to an edit of mine the other day where he showed me the assembly, and I was like, okay, this is great. This works. And then he kind of did another cut. And I was like, okay, like I kind of want to, you know, split the difference, but we ended up just going right back to the assembly. So always save your sequences, because sometimes the director, you can try different stuff, but always having that accessible is an easy way to jump back.
Yeah, sometimes it's, you know, months later, it's like, remember that thing we did? Like, can we use that now? Because it's always things that are shifting as tectonic plates, you know, something that you had no use for, now that this moved here, you need that shot to bridge it. So.
Right. And this is something you said yesterday, too. I mean, it's obviously, as the editor, it's a lot about project management, file management, but in terms of the sequences and the project files themselves, these things are small. There's no reason not to be saving subsequent iterations.
Sure.
You're not recopying the footage every time you do that. So it's like, it makes sense to have all that. So you can always go back in time. They're time-stamped. You know when it was created.
Yeah,
Totally.
Cool. Right. So this takes place right after the last episode we showed you. And we played a little bit of this yesterday as well. So again, this was all shot at the Real Homebrew, which happens every month in Toronto.
And there you are.
And there I am. That is my nighttime job.
Right.
And a lot of this was shot at 60 frames. We couldn't go 120 frames because then it would be too dark.
Right, it was too dark.
So 60 frames was kind of the max.
Yo, Sam. Aaron, this is Sam. He works at the studio. He's one of our top producers.
And then again, this is a completely different bar that we shot a completely different day and kind of just matched the tone. Because of sound design, we were able to kind of glue everything seamlessly together.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's good. Be right back.
He's kind of going through some shit right now, but he'll warm up. Yeah.
Again, the importance of sound design. Now he's in the washroom, so bringing that music down and taking all the high end out.
Seriously? Are you just fucking out of your mind after everything that happened?
I still can't believe the audio worked out.
Right.
What? I don't know what the fuck is happening with you right now, okay? But you gotta pull your shit together.
I'm fine.
You're fucked on coke and you look like shit.
Don't preach to me.
Hey, I'm looking out for you, so pay attention. You are not fine. This is our reputation that we're talking about here.
A reputation?
Yes.
I'm not the one who had a fucking affair with one of our DJs and alienated half the social circle. How's that working out for you?
So we're on the shot, I think you mentioned yesterday, like what?
29
seconds.
Yeah.
And then from that, we jump straight into another montage.
Right.
I really love juxtaposition.
Yeah.
So good. So bold.
Yeah.
I mean, no cutting.
No cutting.
29
No cutting
seconds.
and
And then
Cutting.
cut.
Right,
Yes,
right.
cut.
They had a lot of cuts.
And this is where we started to bring, you can barely see it here, but that's Lucas in the crowd who
Right.
was passed in the earlier episode. So we can tell Sam's really starting to lose it. Again, camera angles tilting,
Right.
which is called Dutch.
Right.
Will show that your character is starting to lose it, or something is wrong or uneasy. And then we're going to break down this moment, so we'll keep playing through it. I hope everybody knows when it comes. So Sam's up, he's on the decks, switching the music. But again, we really wanted to show that he, you know, is dehydrated, he hasn't been eating,
Right.
he's on loads of drugs and just like blowing out his adrenal glands.
And again, you don't know what's going to happen here. Like,
Yeah.
you're thinking, okay, this music's still going.
Yeah.
It's going to be all right. And then...
And then he passes out. So, yeah, we had a difficult time kind of cutting that little moment of him passing out. How did we want to tell that? Did we want to show him actually hitting the ground?
Right.
So we were playing with, you know, cutting to black, the
Right.
spinning camera.
Right.
You know,
And was some of that motion with the diagonal, was that like camera or that was...
that was camera, but I think that was like a happy accident.
Yeah,
Happy
I think
accident?
it was
Really?
Like the Steadicam just kind of
Oh, just kind of doing its
bouncing
thing?
around.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were able to
You've
steal
had
that.
you've had a couple of those
I know.
in this series.
I like to think I have magical horseshoes up my butt.
Just gonna take your word for it there. Show us.
This is we have the this is the rough cut version of the whole passing
cool.
out thing.
Okay.
Different track.
Yeah, different music.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our cutaways definitely stayed the same.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh, that doesn't really seem that
Right.
impactful.
Yeah.
Right. Didn't seem as hard. Didn't seem
No.
as like.
Yeah.
Again, you don't know. Like, did he just die? Right? Like, in
Exactly,
the actual
yeah.
cut, like, did
Yeah.
he die?
Yeah, we don't know what has
It
happened.
looks
Yeah.
bad. He's kind of non-responsive while he's up there. So. Yeah.
And Aisha is saying, I like the silence of the fallen, using the girl's face to express something was wrong. So for us, we didn't really have that, you know, Jade wasn't really falling
Right.
properly. We didn't want him to hurt himself, so we had limited options from footage. So you're right, cutting to somebody else reacting sometimes fills in the blanks for the audience. Which
Did
is
you
a nice
use
trick.
stunt people? I meant to ask you this. Did you use stunt people
We
for any?
did for the fight sequence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So we had that all kind of choreographed, and we had a lot of extras that day, so making sure everybody was safe. And
Right.
first time working with a stunt coordinator,
Oh,
which
right.
you know, it's very important. People like they save lives.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like with the Deadpool
Yeah.
accident that just happened.
Right.
And that happened in Vancouver, and
All right.
we're all connected in Canada, up in Canada.
That's right. Yes.
Another question: do you have any particular role model or someone you would like to meet and learn from?
Yeah. Oh, both of
both of
us?
us, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm throwing it at you now.
Yeah. Well, you go first because I have just like the editors that no one.
Who's your
knows.
editors?
Dee Dee Allen. She's awesome. She did Bonnie and Clyde, which is like super ahead of its time when you go
Right.
back. Like that end sequence, it's just like
Right.
this cutting around, crazy awesome. Kirk Baxter and Angus Wall. Love the way that they just power through things. They don't waste time unless they really want to bring your attention to a moment, but otherwise it's like you're just off. Like
Right.
there's no dull moments. Yeah.
Yeah, for me as a director, definitely Floria Sigismondi, who is also Canadian. She's done *Handmaid's Tale*. She did *The Runaways*, which is one of my favorite movies, and she just did a chunk of time of music videos in the early 2000s, late 90s, like the White Stripes video. Just like really monumental music videos that kind of shaped how we all see that kind of.
Was The Runaways filmed up in Canada too?
I don't think so. I think it was shot in the States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then for
I'm a
DJing,
huge Runaways fan, by the way.
I love the Runaways.
Like crazy. Like all the vinyl.
Yeah.
And
Joan Jett just should be everybody's idol.
And all the Japanese singles.
Yeah.
And they're all scanned in Lightroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So good. And then for DJing, definitely Annie Mac is somebody who I would love to meet and learn from. She's an empire. She definitely dictates electronic music and what's going to be popular.
Right.
She has her own show on BBC Radio 1 and is DJing all over the UK, huge festivals, and now has her own festival itself in Malta, which I got to go to last year.
Oh, really?
Which was really fun, yeah.
Whoa, okay,
I went by myself. I was like, screw it.
That's right.
I'm going. Nobody can stop me.
Right.
And partied by myself for like 4 days in Malta. It's pretty sick.
That's right. That's totally right. Oh, so cool. All right.
Yeah, Walter Murch.
Walter Murch, yeah, I was going to say.
He's like the guy.
Yeah, standard.
Yeah, every editor has to read his book, The Blink of an Eye.
That's right, yeah.
Really likes it. It's like 80 pages. It's a quick read. He's an editor, it's not to waste time.
Not to waste time. Right, get it on the page and get people moving. And he's done a lot of talks for us. He spoke for us at NAB in Vegas, at IBC in Amsterdam, and continues to be an inspiration. It's funny, actually, when we started moving into 3D, when 3D reemerged, I mean, he did a whole talk for us about 3D and how, he had some kind of comment about, how the brain and the eye, we live in 3D now, like, this is why 3D doesn't always work, because your brain is having to reinterpret what it already knows.
Right.
And what isn't real doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
It was really brilliant. It was really awesome.
Cool. Well, let's keep watching.
Yeah.
And again, we're going to jump into a scene.
Locked version. So this is just after he passes out on stage.
Anything broken?
I don't know why she's here.
Maybe we should go inside. I got this.
And again, this is a different location from where the actual rave scene was shot. So using sound design to, merge those things together.
You need to get your fucking shit together. Don't be a fucking asshole. I'm your boss. I don't owe you anything.
Fucking fire me.
Well, that would just be stupid now, wouldn't it? You can't wallow like this.
You know what I'm going through.
I've been in this business for 15 years. You know how many friends I've lost? You're a hard worker, and you're talented as fuck. Pull your head out of the booze and drugs and sort your shit out, because this is not the fucking way to deal.
Then what do you do then?
You're gonna throw all this away and end up like him. Is that what you want?
Fuck you!
Are you so blind you can't see that we're here for you, that we fucking love you? Fucking asshole.
I love that he calls him an asshole, too. Don't be an asshole.
He's like, and he's an asshole. So amazing scene to have Christian Brune, who's also in Orphan Black, in the show, and kind of, bring the drama, which was really nice.
I love, too, that, you really allowed him to develop more there, too. I mean, you feel this connection with him there, too. I mean, you've seen him a lot now, but this is really him
stepping up as more of that father figure that Sam is obviously lacking right now.
Right.
So that's amazing. But scene, simple coverage, minimal lighting.
Just great performances. I feel like that cut never really changed much from our earliest version, because we just had so many great performances to work with. It just was always working well.
Even Emily, like, she doesn't have a line in this scene, but like her facial expression and reaction to "I hate you, but I'm here for you still" to Sam is so important. All right, let's jump to the last episode.
Jade saying, best dude ever, Christian Brune. Love. Yeah.
So this we actually pulled from episode 6. So this was not supposed to be here. But we felt like we needed to kind of come in on a moment where emotions kind of finally hit the surface for him.
Right.
And he's starting to kind of deal with what's happening.
Still little remnants of the bruise, too.
Yes.
Very well.
So you used to start here, and it just felt like too much of a jump.
Too much of a jump,
Yeah.
Hi.
Cut your coffee.
This was the first thing we shot for the entire season, was this scene.
Coming in?
And again, when we got to the sound design and the mix, we were able to kind of really
Lucas's.
take down the traffic noise, which was very annoying.
That's for you. His sister gave it to me.
What's inside?
Lucas's stuff, ticket stubs, festival wristbands and shit.
Thanks.
His mom asked how he was before,
What do you mean how he was? He fucking
like what he was
OD'd.
feeling. And I told her that he was happy.
I don't even know anymore.
We are all grieving, Sam.
Yeah, but I was the last one to talk to
No,
him.
I was fucking there too.
Doesn't matter. I'm his best friend. I should have said something. I should have gone with him.
No, I knew he was fucked up. I could have stopped him from going out. Does that mean you get to mourn harder than the rest of us?
You don't even know what you're talking about. We had a conversation, and he told me what he wanted to do, and I shut him down. But he was being an idiot. He was such a fucking mess.
A mess. Like you've become?
And if we want to pause there, again, that's a very simple setup. Somebody's asking if you have any advice to do a quick set or make a space fit when you're trying to accomplish with a scene. You're probably using one camera.
Right.
So something that's really easy to do is kind of draw your access line, so what you're not going to cross. And again, we chatted about this yesterday.
Talked about that yesterday.
If we were having a conversation, to put the camera on this side
Right.
and then this side. You can also take a picture or take a screenshot and then make sure they look
That's
very similar.
yeah.
If that's what you're trying to do. Maybe if the head's smaller in one, when you get to post, it's not really gonna cut together. So taking pictures of things is also very helpful. But essentially, you're looking for a wide shot, 2 mediums, 2 close-ups of each character, and then maybe a nice 2 shot.
Right. And I love the last shot of that scene, where again you're changing the angle altogether, getting this different perspective from the side. It's kind of like, again, you're feeling something different instantly, right?
We're highlighting the bruise and
Highlighting
showing
the bruise,
he's
right?
still
It's right,
still
still in
wounded.
still recovering, still wounded, exactly. Some people are asking if you're going to Adobe Max.
Maybe. I have a lot of things to do.
That's right.
Coming months.
Now, when does your tour start again?
Yeah, I go on tour with Mystery Skull starting October 24th. Our first show is in LA at the Troubadour, and then we are going across country and ending at the Knitting Factory in Brooklyn.
Nice,
November 10th, I believe.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So big things this fall.
Well, you could be in Vegas just before then and head down to LA.
That is true.
That's right.
That is true. Jade Hasune, big fan of energy drinks, lives off of them. This is not acting. This is real life.
Is it weird that when I watched this, I'm not even joking, I paused it and then screen zoomed to see what was in his fridge? I was like,
yeah.
I was just curious, like, what's in there? Cheese and beer,
And then this is Lucas's bag, so this is very calm on set. Make sure that Jade kind of had space to breathe. Like, this is really emotional. When you're asking your actors to do these emotional scenes, you really have to keep your crew calm and quiet so they can kind of feel safe. Because there's cameras and people all around.
Right.
It's a very weird place to be vulnerable.
And this, they're probably not hearing all of it, but again, sound design, it's the, not rustling, but the sound of the actual physical photographs, right? It really
tactile.
The tactile,
Yeah.
There's something about that makes you feel it as he's going through it too.
And this is an amazing score that we got from Paul Vroom, who is one of my producers. Very talented musician. He's in the band Highs.
Oh, okay.
So he kind of composed this piece way back when, and I heard it, and I was like, man, it'd be perfect for this moment. Do you mind if we use it? And he was all for it.
All for it.
Again, this is all in camera, like the cell phone stuff. No
Right.
comping.
Right. Okay.
Which is interesting too. I mean, then Jade as an actor has the actual images to work off of instead of trying to emote at a green screen.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
So-
is very difficult to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And also tends to leave a lot of less believability for scenes that are often done that way. I mean, again, you see this I think a lot in different series where they're trying to do something. Clearly, it was green screen.
Right, and just there's something
off.
cosmically
Right.
coming together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And AJ has a question. If an actor totally kills it during a scene, but you have to cut due to time or whatever reason, do you keep it in or make the sacrifice? For me, I always fight for the actor's performance. We actually worked on a piece with Vlad Alexis, who's also in this show, called Godwin. And, I mean, we were just fighting for his performance at all costs, whether we had to kind of cut out like some B-roll of something else or just like a simple move of him picking up a knapsack. We would sacrifice that first before sacrificing an amazing performance. Because at the end of the day, that's what the audience is going to connect to.
Yep.
The last Dead Mouse concert at the Government in Toronto. We were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so like personal footage?
Yeah. Personal footage.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And Jade and Nico are actually longtime friends, so kind of gathering those the photos, we didn't need to kind of replicate or create anything.
Recreate something,
we just pulled from their actual.
Really?
Yeah. Which a lot of people are like, how did you do that? How did you get so much like stock stuff? And I was like, well, they're actually friends, so it helps.
Well, and he looks so different with kind of the head cozy. So when you see him in the first photo with his hair, you know, it's like, oh wow, it's this happy, like before it all spiraled.
Yeah.
You know?
And we shot this video, myself and Kelly McCormack, who plays Dee, and Nico, who plays Lucas. We shot that just on my iPhone.
Right.
At the corner store. And that video is, you know, its purpose is to kind of just show. Lucas was happy before he OD'd. He was doing what he wanted as much as... You know.
He was chasing his dream. Right?
Yeah, he was chasing his dream.
Yeah, that's so cool that that's real. You know?
Yeah. And then again, we went over this scene a little bit yesterday. We shot all of this against kind of a white background. Filming the Ableton screen, kind of using the screen capture of it. Emily's asking a question, as if she doesn't know the answer. Was the heckler in the video planted or real? It's planted. It's in the script.
Yeah, there's that overlay.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite shots of the entire show. And then another kind of cut to black 2 months later. And this is a scene we haven't really jumped into yet. And then we're at the homebrew 1-year anniversary. So again, this is not the exterior of the real homebrew. We blacked out the front window and we put some lights kind of in it, and we knew when we got to post sound we could have like the club thumping music and add some people chattering in the background and you know, make it seem as if we're actually there.
Simulate it's the same. Yeah.
Seriously, remember me. I will. Take me with you. Promise. I love you, my brother. I love you.
Love that little pause there too.
Hey, Ariel. Dude, that was so amazing, man. Thanks, man. That first track you played, oh my god, totally had me. I was actually wondering if you weren't too busy this week at the studio, if I could show you some of my tracks.
Of course, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Dope. Okay, cool. Cool. I gotta take off before the subway closes, but such a rad night. It's so cool to know you guys. See ya.
Look at you.
And that character, Vlad's character, was kind of planted in there to kind of show that there is a new generation of people chasing their dreams and wanting to be producers and DJs. And it also shows us how far our two characters have come. And that they are looked upon as somebody who, they are successful. They do have a lot of things going for them.
I haven't heard any of your new
I loved it too because their initial introduction together with Sam was like, I have to take a leak. You know, right? He didn't even
Very
say
different.
hello, right? To becoming his mentor, you know?
Yeah.
It's just so hot, you know?
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you're back, though.
This was the last scene we shot for That's My DJ Ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm glad it was like,
What are you drinking?
I tried to plan it that way in pre-production,
Right.
so we could all kind of have closure at the same time, and
Right.
being the
Oh,
last
wow.
scene,
Wow.
and it being the last scene. So.
Very nice. I love this line too.
With water, he would have.
Right.
I'm freezing. Are you coming in?
Just give me 1 second.
And we're living on a Steadicam right now, which is usually how I like to shoot, which kind of just gives you can kind of move anywhere, everything's fluid, and which is great for when he walks away, and we're able to kind of do this nice push in. And we did fix a little of this in color. We kind of made sure it was center, because it wasn't in the shot originally.
Right. Oh, okay.
And again, living on a Steadicam, following Jade.
And this one, you said you did like 12 takes of
Yeah,
this?
we did 12 takes of this. My DP really wanted to nail this shot, and I mean, it's his last shot of the entire series.
Right.
He's done the entire series with me, so yeah, kind of let him go run around, and then intercutting all the kind of best of moments from That's My DJ, and really highlighting Lucas, because he was the kind of character we lost throughout.
Right.
And then there's a little bit of a
Don't leave yet.
yeah.
Don't
There's an
more.
Easter egg.
That's
It's
right.
like Marvel,
Right,
but
that's
not.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ready?
Yep.
There's my little cameo again. And this is the studio where I actually recorded this song. And again, kind of just bringing the story together, showing that, yeah, he's not leaving his career as a DJ. He's actually focusing
Right.
and knows that he doesn't want to do the partying side of things anymore,
Right.
and the networking. What he really loves is to be in front of his computer and making things, which I
Right.
feel like we can all really connect to at
Absolutely.
the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I love this. You know, just
Yeah.
feeling it.
And then credits roll,
Yeah.
essentially. So do we want to chat about what happens when you have a final product
Sure.
and you're done and you're picture locked? What happens next?
We also got a couple questions.
Oh, do
Yeah.
we?
You can do those, and then we'll get
We
into
can
the.
do- you can do those.
to the-
Really, how
the
do you
nerdy
develop
stuff.
such a great understanding of acting? I don't know. I have no idea. I think I'm a hypersensitive, like, human.
Right.
Yeah. I have no idea. I hang out with a lot of actors. Like, my social group is actors. I think that helps.
Did you watch, like, have you always been someone really into movies, really into series?
Yeah, I was a big loser when I was young. So on Friday nights, you know, people would go and like party and like drink illegally, and I would go to Blockbuster, which was my jam, and I
right.
would rent a movie that was kind of like film festival selection,
Right.
like
Ooh, okay.
with subtitles, you know, all the fancy.
That's right.
And then get like some sort of Blockbuster, something everybody was talking about, and then
Right.
go home and watch those. And I think at a point in time, I even started taking notes, like the geek that
Really?
I am. Yeah,
Wow, okay.
Bend It Like Beckham. I remember watching that movie and was like, what? Why did I love this so much? And then I remember not rewinding because it wasn't VHS, it was a DVD, going
Right.
back to the DVD menu.
That's right.
And hitting play, and then just taking notes of like what happened and how it was structured and why, you know, I felt so connected, which was really cool.
Kind of funny you mentioned that one too, because you just made me think, like, in that movie especially, and that was actually pretty big here, which
Yeah.
is sort of surprising because obviously football, soccer,
Yeah.
it's bigger now than it was then. But that was also kind of Keira Knightley's like kind of big
push.
breakout,
And then it
big
was
push
Pirates of the Caribbean
that
next.
really boomed, just,
And they
into
plucked
the
it from Bend It
stratosphere.
Like Beckham.
Yeah, crazy.
That was a great choice to shoot that last. I can feel the sense of pride in the last scene. Yeah, I remember saying that's a wrap on Emily Pigford, and Emily started crying because I think she forgot that we were like wrapping the entire series in that moment, and she had been there since day one. So she started crying, then I started crying, and
wow.
it was a whole thing. So I had to pull it together. Yeah, filmmaker's journal. I appreciate the Steadicam versus handheld shots. Handheld during the intense scenes of him looking through old videos versus steady during these shots. Yeah. Is that me on the kicks? Yes. I DJ and I play drums at the same time under the DJ name Hey DW. So yeah, I play live drums and DJ.
What is your live drum setup like? Do you have a full, like a 5-piece kit?
Yeah,
or?
I have a 5-piece kit, like a rock kit.
Yeah, rock
it's
kit.
like rock music smashed together with electronic music.
What
is kind of my jam.
what kit do you play? What type of?
It's a piece of shit.
like 80s Tama or
No, it's like a shitty pearl.
Oh, okay.
That I bought, like,
okay.
15 years ago.
I meant to say because Tama, I guess for certain, right? But yeah, Pearl is
but I would need a DW kit.
not the Pearl export.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. DW
See,
drums.
I thought that's what you might say, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, really?
Yeah.
DW drums are
I'm
super awesome too. By
the
the way,
best,
but,
and I feel like it would work with my brand. Yeah.
Endorsement.
Endorsement. Also, you don't have the credits, eh? No. I did those.
Yeah.
AJ's got a great question about how much room do you leave for reshoots?
So I think we blocked off 2 days.
Okay.
That's what we did, but we weren't in the edit. It was just kind of something if we didn't get it on the day.
Okay, yeah.
We kind of had 2 days as an option to kind of go and get anything that we needed to do. But typically with indie stuff, those were pickups. Those weren't reshoots.
Right. And you mentioned that yesterday too.
Yeah,
right?
there are no reshoots in indie film.
Right.
Like it's on me and Simone.
Yeah.
Mostly on
Like,
Simone.
make it work.
Where it's like, this is the footage we have. How do we make it work? And we did a lot of that. We smashed episode 2 and 3 together. We moved a scene from episode 3 all the way to episode 8.
Yeah, which became that montage of him going back to work after
Right.
through Lucas.
Right, yeah,
stuff.
walking through that hallway, right? That was from
Yeah.
some other scene.
Because there
movie.
was structurally some things that weren't working, as will always happen when you're in post-production. So it's really kind of getting creative with the footage you have and maybe not try to tell the exact story that you have as the script, but learning to let go of the script and look, these are the puzzle pieces we have. How do they kind of cut together?
Right.
And sound design is your best friend. When you feel like you're missing something, you can kind of hold on another character and you can add a bunch of ADR with them providing the information you maybe missed on the day.
Now, with moving pieces of scenes around, did you ever find, like, in terms of color, was it ever difficult to sort of match? Like, okay, this is the walk-in that we want, but that was shot 5 p.m., so just the general look of the place is different versus steps into the room and it's clearly early afternoon.
That's all my DP, and like also I'm keeping an eye on to make sure, things are matching.
Right.
But yeah, that is, he is on that to make sure it all kind of is cohesive and it looks like we're at the same bar, it's the same kind of time. Video revealed is asking, was the street naturally wetter? Did you have to stage that? Jokingly enough, it was already wet, and I was running around set being like, it's like we have money. It's like we have money. We went down the street. Like, we got a water truck. It's like, I always go nuts when anything I see is like production value.
Like, in,
production value.
What was it, Super 8? Was that the movie where the kids are making the movie and the train comes by and they're like, production value?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Anytime I'm like, I think in season 1, the airplane flew overhead. I was like, get it, production value.
By the way, when you just said Super 8, first my mind went to 8mm.
Yeah, that's where I remember.
Very different movie, just to be clear.
Yeah.
8mm, Nicolas Cage, dark. Super 8, Spielberg.
Yeah.
Very fun, coming of age. Yeah, very different stuff. Right. Glad to know we were kind of on the same path.
Yeah. I'm like
where's she going with
vintage
this?
camera.
You're right. Snuff? Okay, right.
Yeah, so do we,
okay. So yeah, do we want to do a little what happens next after the
Picture lock.
offline is done?
Yes.
So we've spent 3+ months looking at stuff. I'm gonna find what's a good. This is a nice long episode. So.
And Simone, maybe just kind of reiterate, like, offline, online, because I know we've got lots of new faces joining us today.
So I am what is called an offline editor. So I'm working with proxy footage. So it's lower res compressed footage that just makes it easier to work with. That it looks just like the final high res version. It's just more manageable. You end up having a hard drive that's like a terabyte versus 12 terabytes.
Right. And you could do it on a laptop, because we're actually seeing the edit here. This is not like reconstructed for the stream.
Nope, this is totally on the fly.
Yeah.
The real deal. So then online editing would be when you take that locked cut from the offline and then they rebuild it using the high res version of the footage.
Which in this case was all Red Dragon or Epic or something of that nature.
Yeah, red. That's
some
right.
flavor.
Where's your DP? Your DP should be
Yeah,
right
I
here.
bet you he doesn't even know I'm in San Francisco. Like, I bet you money. He's going to rewatch this and being, I totally knew that you were in San Francisco. I'm like, whatever, James.
Yeah.
Before you go too, AJ was just asking, what was the craziest thing that happened while filming?
I think that I think season 1 takes the cake. We were shooting a party scene, and I had invited a bunch of like friends to be extras.
Right.
But there was like a time restriction. We were shooting from like 8 to 11. So it was like 11:30. Everybody had left. We were starting to wrap production. We were just getting some inserts, and all of a sudden we were shooting this outside scene. We're in a quiet neighborhood. Like nothing's happening.
Right.
And we see this bus with like all these neon lights on the side. We're like, oh man, okay, it's loud. We'll just like wait, like hold for sound. It's driving right towards us, and a friend is just like, you think that party bus is coming for you? And I was like, oh yeah, party bus is coming for me, like out of nowhere,
right.
haha. And then it literally pulled up, and out steps my friend, and he's like, hey, Waterson. And I was like, oh shit. And then out pours 20 people who were all like very
decked
different.
Out, right?
Decked out,
right,
and they
right.
were all not sober, like not even close. And they're like, oh, can we use your washroom? This. They all just like pile into the house. I'm like, this is not a party. This is a set. What's happening? And I was like trying to be polite and be like, cool, I'm glad you're here, but also like, what? That's the craziest
GTFO,
thing.
right. Oh my god.
So a party bus showing up in the middle
awesome.
of a shoot.
That's probably the first time that's happened, I think.
Yeah, and hopefully the last.
And hopefully the last, yeah.
Yeah.
Gus says Super 8 was awesome. Right on, brother.
Yes.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Simone.
Right.
Yes.
So we're locked. It's done. The worst of it is over. Maybe.
Maybe.
So,
All right.
So I always have like a separate bin that I call finishing, where I break down everything that is going to each different place. So in this case, Catherine Kwan, our trailer editor. So I gave her a separate clip that had everything time coded. So the idea was that we weren't waiting on the final version. She could start working with my offline, and it would just relink with the final version because the time code's all the same. And then picture, which goes to the colorist, and then audio for the sound person.
Right.
So let's start with picture. I'm just going to get these out of here so it's as if we're doing it from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
So I like to start with picture first. So let's bring that guy over. Always keeping things in their own separate bins.
By the way, just because I was noticing some of it, do you normally, and I mean, people have kind of asked this before, do you, when you're finishing these cuts, picture lock, do you have any kind of, like some kind of slate or anything at the top of the edit? Or?
I usually do. I didn't for this, for no real reason. I always had a 2-beep, but I guess because, they're pretty short pieces, and it wasn't that complex. But yeah, definitely on a feature film cut or anything, it'd be slate with the version, the date, all that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Again, in indie world, you're kind of just like run by the seat of your pants,
That's
whatever takes the
just
least
fly
amount of
That's
time.
right.
So the key thing to do here is, so the goal with prepping all the stuff is to make what's called an EDL, edit decision list, which goes to the colorist, which it's basically, I'll show you once I've exported what it looks like, but it's a very, very primitive list of just, here's the shot, here's where it goes. And
shot, time code, shot, time
yeah,
code,
it's existed forever, and, you can open it in Premiere, Avid, Final Cut, Resolve, they all understand it. So it's the great way to communicate between all the different places it can go. But that being said, it's only one layer. So what I'm going to do here is bring everything down to one layer across the whole episode. I usually lock all the audio just so I'm not futzing with any of that also.
Futzing.
That's
the word, guys.
With an apostrophe at the end, that's right.
Futzing.
So you also have to be careful because sometimes you'll have an overlay or like that later shot, the hacker shot, you wouldn't want to collapse that down because you need both.
You need both, right.
In that instance, you would have 2 EDLs. You do your track 1, track 2.
Right. And that's actually a really good point that you can import multiple EDLs as well, right? Yeah. That's
and
essential.
Aisha's asking, did they do their own color correction too? So we went to a facility and we did color correction in Davinci. I believe that's what we used.
In Resolve, yeah.
Yeah, in Resolve.
And so, it's funny, someone had said, it went by pretty quickly, like, oh my God, how could you say Resolve? And you just mentioned Avid. Actually, and we're We're not selling it here, but that is kind of the brilliance of Premiere in this
Yeah.
instance, that we can go in and out of all these different things, and they work together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're cutting here, you're exporting EDLs, you're doing OMFs or AAFs for sound.
Yeah.
That's kind of the beauty of the system, and that's
Yeah.
also kind of the beauty of how really the industry and the people working in it have changed.
Yes.
There was this kind of like, I edit in this and only these, and you
Right.
suck. And you
Yeah.
know, today, no man, everybody
Yeah.
uses something, whatever they're comfortable in. Can you get it in and out? Yes, good.
Yeah.
Then we're
And that's
good.
the great thing that I love about Premiere is when I go and I talk to my colorist and I talk to my sound team, I was just like, okay, we're using Premiere, tell us what you need. I know
Right.
that there's a sense of relaxation.
Right.
Because they know that, 9.9 times out of 10, it's
Right.
going to shoot out of
It's gonna
Premiere the
shoot out.
exact way they need it.
Right.
And there's not going to be problems where footage is missing or there's miscommunication between systems.
So you'll notice here I left this guy on the second track because it's just our logo graphic. So when you receive an EDL, you want it to all generally be from the same source. So in this case, this is all the red footage. So it's as simple as they'll open up this EDL on their end, direct it to where the footage is, boop, 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 done. The
Right.
cut now exists as it existed here, but
Right.
in 4 or 6K.
Right.
So let's export an EDL and see what that's like. The default is to have all the audio channels on. We're going to turn those off for the picture EDL.
Right.
They're two completely unrelated
Right.
things.
That's actually a great tip too. As I saw, actually, there was we were linking the Premiere Pro account, I think, was linking to some training video about making EDLs and talking about doing just that.
Right.
Like if you're going to your colorist or back to
Yeah.
online,
Just video.
just video.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a whole bunch of stuff that they don't need.
Gets messy, right? Confusing, and just
Yeah.
adding more time and sort of confusion to the process.
Yeah. The simpler you can make it for everyone else in the ecosystem, the better.
Yes. Yes.
So there's also this was added maybe 2-3 versions ago, the 32 character names, which is super handy. There was a film I was working on that it scanned all the raw footage with it was exactly 32 characters. So without that, there would have been no unique reference point for that file to relink. So like that totally saved us.
Sure.
You guys want a drink? These were sitting over there.
What,
I got like
what have you got
10
there?
I'm good with
talking
all
rings.
these.
Sitting over here. I don't know who's
I was
yours.
wondering, does this guy
Oh, you know what?
is this keyed
I
out?
don't think it's yours.
Okay.
Is this? Yeah, it is keyed out.
Nice.
Yo, that's sick. I
Invisible.
am drinking
Sparkling water.
Talking
the
ring.
little things, guys. The little things.
Paul just walked in and said, "Hey, there's
This
some
is
random
cute.
drinks that are open with straws in them over here. You
Yeah.
guys want these?" Sure, bring it on over. All right, yeah.
I'm just gonna
Chancy.
That's right.
for fun.
Somebody's asking you, do you edit in Avid as well, or you stick to
I
Premiere?
do. I've been all the way around the block. So
Oh,
Premiere
well then.
FCP7, which officially died yesterday.
What?
The next version of the Mac OS
Right.
will not run FCP7.
That's right. It's
Wow.
in High Sierra.
Yep.
It will not run.
They gotta flip to
4.1 out.
Premiere.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, you know what was so funny? So you received the email, I guess. Like I got an email because I remember when we introduced our XML export import in Premiere 7 years ago or something. All of us, obviously, we had to have Final Cut because we actually used to show, okay, here we are in Final Cut, export, here we are in Premiere. Good, look, see, love, we all work together nicely.
Yeah.
So that's 7, 8 years ago, and I actually got an email saying, hey, as someone who's purchased Final Cut 7,
Yeah.
you should know.
FYI.
That, yeah. And then it was funny because it's like, and if you want to continue working in Final Cut, it was like a link to 10, Final Cut
Right.
X, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know it's kind of a. I was wondering as editors if people are finally like, oh, good. Like,
Yeah.
I know a small handful that are still like, hanging on.
People
was
still are.
I
I
was
know.
still cutting on.
I know, it's true.
FCP7 for a
Right.
while, until Simone was like, "Please stop." I was like, "Okay."
There's a better way.
Yeah. I'm
Yes.
glad I flipped.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll typically on
Okay,
the Finder also make sort of the same folder structure I have of my bins in the project here to keep everything organized. So I have my finish folder, picture, then another folder EDL. Save that. So I'm going to show you guys what an EDL actually looks like. You can open them in TextEdit.
Yep.
See
It's
all
so
the-
informative. Look at this.
Informative and very organized.
Yeah,
Well,
organization is
you
key
gotta-
in
I
post.
mean,
Yeah,
you're really organized. So that's
It's
impressive.
from being an assistant. It forces you to
Right.
make it so, no matter who's picking up the project after,
right.
they know exactly,
They know
where,
exactly
everything
where everything
is.
is, yeah.
Yeah. So you see there's actually a couple clips here that weren't read. It was from the existing EPK cut that you had from your video.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I think in real life, those clips actually I would have moved to the second layer
as a
would have
second
a separate
EDL.
EDL. But yeah, so I don't know if you can see that on there. It kind of just looks like a bunch of nonsense, but when you really look at it, so this is each individual clip. We have the time code of the clip itself, so the time of day time code, and then where it happens in the edit.
In the edit, yeah.
It's very, very simple. It won't translate variable speed effects, but if you had just like a straight 200% speed effect, that would show up as well.
Right.
You can see we have black here. Yeah, so this is pretty much the major thing that your online person needs to reconnect. So usually as a backup, I'll also include an XML.
Right.
Which is a bit more robust. It'll show you more more of the very. I mean, I find variable speed rates still aren't perfect.
But
so
XML can include things like effects, like certain
flips and
flips
things
and
like
all
that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be a similar thing in picture, but then I'll make an XML folder.
And that's, you know, it's actually really cool when you kind of look at the EDL that way and you realize like this is why this is kind of a standard because it's kept simple on purpose so that it could have been moved around easily. And this is why it still exists and why people still use it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and you'll see that prompt. It comes up almost every time because there's some things that just may not translate. The Premiere-specific effect that's just not going to exist elsewhere. But chances are that was for offline anyways, and there will be something else done with it.
That's right.
So that's the bulk of it for picture. I mean, if you want to go really in depth, I'll show you. Oh yeah, I just deleted that.
And what is up? JK Digital joining us from Tammisaari, Finland. Very nice to see you guys.
I'm going to open, just to show the finished version of, I'll do what's called like a locator list. So I'll put in markers that then say, this from here to here is 100% speed, and then 200% speed, and kind of breaks it down. And then Premiere allows you to export that all as a spreadsheet, which then the online person can go and compare and rebuild in. Yeah.
So how common is that though? So when you're do you do that now? If you're really just doing offline, do you create all of these variations for other editors who are doing the do you do all of this every time?
Every time, every single time.
Thorough, organized.
Yes.
Hashtag for hire. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And what is your website so people can go check it out?
It's SimoneSmithEditor.com.
You should check it out.
I'm just opening up a previous version because at the start of this I was like, oh, we don't need all that
That's right.
finished stuff.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, here's the final finishing version.
Okay.
So let's look at episode 2, which
and there's
has
all of your
a lot of
markers
speed
and a lot
ramps.
of okay.
So you can see every single when I'm going through and typing out. Here's when it's at 100%. Here's where it's ramping up from 100 to 283, and then when it stays at that speed and breaking that down. So it's very time consuming.
I was gonna say, and that's because you were actually showing the ramps the other day. We were comparing it to the waveforms, but here you're actually going in and really you're hovering to get the speed change, and it's a lot of manual input there. Yeah,
and you have to make it this precise because we've done all of these speed ramps with intention. Like it has to be on this exact frame at this exact speed. So this just eliminates any way that can. Go
there could
haywire.
be some confusion about what was happening.
My lead actor Jade is on the chat right now, and he's saying so much learnings, and I say back to that, this is how much work we put into the show.
This is all the stuff that happens.
That's right.
You buy this one a drink when you're in Toronto.
That's right.
So yeah, once you've gone through and done all that painstaking stuff, I'll show you the. Oh, that's where I put it. The montage in episode 3 was really intense for that, actually. There's a lot. Look at all these markers in this little
Look at that.
section.
Look at a little
You did all that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right. Says the director, right? Oh my God! Wow, that looks like a ton of work.
Yeah.
Right.
Jade also says for sure to buying you a drink. So
Oh,
you should take
okay.
him up on
Done.
that
You got it.
when he's in
Manhattan.
town shooting Shadowhunters.
So here I'm marking what's happening on each layer. So I'll also make note of any scale changes or anything like that, just to make sure. It's like a recipe for the online person. Like, okay, if they follow all these exact directions, it should be identical.
And of course, if they don't, when you're watching it, you'll immediately know.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, in that one sequence, when I was the one, what do we call this? When I packaging. I was packaging because someone was like, I'm not doing it. And I was like, that's fine. I was an assistant editor. I should be able to figure it out. But I remember I caught a frame where it was wrong.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of go in and, figure that one out.
So you can see before scale 40, 60, 80, all that happening every time.
That's, an enormous amount of detail. But again, like you said, if there's one thing that's off, it changes the whole feeling, the whole vibe.
And QCing your work.
Right.
I know it's this is the last thing that I want to do. I've seen this show so many times, and same with you. It's like at even the premiere, everybody was so hyped to see it. And I was like, if I see this thing one more time, I might pull my eyes out. But you really need to watch your work to make sure that the final product with sound together and color together, that it is exactly matching. Your picture lock. And a good way to do that is take your picture locked QuickTime, which is usually in low res, and kind of do your your packaged lock and watch them side by side to make sure each frame is exactly
the same.
Yeah.
When you did finally screen this, where did you how did you show it?
We had a big premiere in Toronto, not Toronto. At the Royal, which was really awesome. We had about maybe 200 people. 200 plus people.
I was out of town.
You were out of town.
So bummed.
We did a red carpet, and there's photos online. Yeah, it was a great big turnout. Then we had a nice little after party. It was great. A great way to celebrate.
I bet you had an after party.
Yeah, we did.
That's right.
It was a Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
But me and my actors went hard.
That's right.
Yeah, we're like, we're done. It's like, you guys need to go to work tomorrow. We're
That's right. We're still in it, right?
So I'm gonna export the markers so you can kind of see how that comes out on the other side. So you can see where it was going last time. Finish picture, locator lists. Again, just keeping it real organized.
Yeah. You clearly know this footage too, because you're like zipping through this.
Yeah. Yeah, she spent some time with it.
There's a little bit of time. That's right.
A little bit.
A day or months.
Months.
Right.
Yeah.
I really think such an awesome premiere night.
Yeah. Oh, it was pretty awesome.
Big loves Royal Cinema. Is Royal like a real classic theater there too? I mean, it's kind of like the Warfield here.
Been around forever, and they're very lovely and giving to independent filmmakers who are like they probably can't afford.
Does it have like landmark status there? Like
it should.
Okay.
It's probably really close.
They're starting to do that, around here too. Like I mentioned, Warfield and some of the others that have been around forever. Yeah. Because I've even heard of it. And
Oh, crazy.
I've been to your city once. I'm not going to say it now because, a long time ago. But now that you said it, it's funny hearing you all say Toronto.
We say Toronto. There's no T at the end.
No T.
Toronto.
That's how you know somebody's not from Toronto is when they're like Toronto. And I'm like, no, it's Toronto.
And you just segued into the question I was going to have. So the New York show producer, who comes in, he's like, hey, we want to do this. Was he Canadian or was he an American actor?
The which one?
Sean.
The guy who comes in when he
Sean.
meets.
He's Canadian.
He is Canadian. Okay, because he's kind of doing a New York accent there,
is he?
right? Well, he's not doing. He's not doing Canadian. I was listening.
Yeah.
And I'm going. I'm not sure he's because I'm from New York, New Jersey area. So I'm listening. I'm like, it's not Canadian. So it was good.
Well, hats off to you, Sean Benson.
He definitely had that mannerism. Like I love when he asked, "So is it you and the crew?" No, man, just me. And he he's got that look. It's very New York.
The look of like I'm going to take advantage of
That's
you.
right. It was very believable. It was really good. Yeah.
These guys look like a pop trio band from the 80s.
And I'm even wearing an Alice Cooper T-shirt.
Yeah,
I think I'm the bassist. If you
That's right. Nice. That's awesome.
I think I'm the bassist.
I love it.
That's amazing.
So here's what the formatting's a little wonky in numbers here, but you can see this is all of that information I manually input into the markers is now coming across. It's almost similar to the EDL layout.
Yeah, structurally it looks very, very similar.
It's just you get the specifics of what's going on with every single shot. So that's it for picture, really. It's those main things is the EDL, XML, and locator list.
Now, at what point, or maybe it's better to say, in what kind of production? Like, obviously, I mean, you'd done things a lot before this. Had you always, like, at what point, what drives the necessity to start using EDLs and to doing all this kind of granular detail? Could you have gotten away without this? Certainly not for this, but like in previous productions of yours. Like
even with short films,
right?
Like if you're just cutting like a video in Premiere specifically for YouTube, and you're doing all your audio in this or
everything's
Audition,
in one
or
place,
you're kind of just like fussing with the or futzing.
Futzing, no G, right? Just like no T at the end of Toronto, which I just said. But yeah.
If we're futzing with the color and you're just like, you know, exporting an MOV, it's going straight to YouTube, there's no need. But for us, we are going to 2 different facilities for color and sound mixing and sound design. So we do need to have our EDL and XML. Same with short films, same with feature films.
And I guess it's really, I mean, I imagine trailers too, right? I mean,
trailers.
Maybe not.
No.
Sometimes, maybe.
I mean, in this case, we didn't because it was already all done. Yeah, I guess in general, usually the trailer person will get the finished picture as well as stems for the audio.
So
they can pull out just dialogue or just music.
Yeah. They're not retweaking any of the actual individual elements at that point.
Right.
Just duration and timing.
They might, I mean, I've never done like the high-end kind of Warner Brothers workflow. Like, I don't know. I imagine that would be a
Warner
whole
Brothers
other
show.
thing.
It's insane. There's like so much paperwork
to
just like to do one thing.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, because it's really, again, like you're thinking, okay, well, in 1 minute and 48 seconds, why do you need all this? Can't you? But again, you've got a lot.
Important.
It's so important because you've got a lot of hats, a lot of people kind of playing roles, doing different parts of this. It's got to be documented. It's got to be accurate, and it has to kind of work for everybody.
So beyond the fact that everybody in the comment section has named the band that we're all in and has gone on how we should go on tour and what instruments we're all playing, somebody is asking the question, so who does the final export / distribution? So we don't have distribution for the show. It's independent. It's just going straight to YouTube. The final export actually sat in my hands, which is terrifying, and I'll never do again.
I bailed.
Yeah. Simone's like, listen, I've given you every like blood, sweat, and teardrop I've had for the past however long. She's like, it's on you, and you know, I know Premiere as well. I'm an assistant editor, so I ended up doing the credits, making sure all of the graphics and effects were on top, kind of QCing everything, and then, well, you actually built the sequences for me, putting the final colored, and then
that's true.
That's
the easy part. I don't get much credit for that. I shouldn't get any credit for that.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have been able to do that part, so.
Yeah, so that's something interesting is that, you know, what happens after it's gone to color, it's gone to audio. But now there's these 2 different things existing in a completely different facility. What happens? So, you know, in this case, it came back to sort of in-house with us handling it. Sometimes it's the picture facility is handling all the final packaging, DCP, all that
stuff.
If
you go to a post house, sometimes you can be like, okay, I'm going to do a package deal. You're going to do color, sound mix, sound design.
And delivery.
And then you're going to do the delivery. So they're going to package it. You're paying for them to do a QC check, which is kind of good for somebody else's eyes to be on
like
it
you
and
said.
not mine.
Right.
And then they'll, you know, poop out anything that you need for festivals, whether that just be a ProRes file or, again, like a DCP.
Right. Yeah. Now, so, like, and is that really more of a budgetary concern at that point?
Yes. I mean, it is more expensive to go to a post house and
have
to
that,
ask those things.
Because you assume, like, all right, it's finished. Can't you guys just export it for me?
No. It takes time. It takes time.
Right.
So sometimes it's easier for you to kind of do it on your own time. But if you do have the extra cash and you have budgeted for that, I'm always a big fan of backloading budget for posts. I know a lot of people like to blow money in pre-production and production. They're like, oh, we'll just spend it all on set. That's the most important section. I really would advise making sure you're paying your editors properly, getting an assistant editor if you can, talking to a post house. A lot of them are very lovely and very considerate towards indie filmmakers. Hey, they want the business. They want you to be successful.
Right. You're successful, they become more successful.
Exactly, and they want you to, you know, have returning business. So 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you some sort of discount to say, hey, we'll kind of do color and sound, and we'll package it all up for kind of like a discounted price. So I think it's just a matter of reaching out and having those conversations.
Right, and just being honest about it, right?
Pre-production.
Yeah. Right, in pre-production.
Not when you're in post and you're slammed up against the wall.
And all the money's gone, but you're like, oh no, we're covered, it's good, just do what you gotta do. And I would recommend, again, go to Indiegogo.com and actually look at the page for That's My DJ, because you do have that. I keep going back to the pie graph, but it was really interesting.
Yes, on Indiegogo.
On Indiegogo, because you really kind of see where the money goes, and you're very upfront about all of this, and like, and I know you had a comment in there about shooting season 2 and 3 together, and what it means if we get this level of funding, and like what that actually means to the production and the process of getting it finished faster.
Yeah, and Indiegogo and Kickstarter is such a great tool for anybody starting out, that you want to shoot a short or you want to shoot a web series to kind of rally everybody involved, their friends, their family, to you know, get some money together. And listen, like, we all have iPhones, we all have Androids, we all have something that we can kind of shoot on to create content. So it's just a matter of getting a script or getting an idea, building a team, and going and doing it and learning from those experiences.
Really cool question. Have you ever transferred any of your stuff onto a physical film reel or thought about it?
I mean, I went to Ryerson in Toronto for film, and they started us off on like these shitty cameras. You didn't go to Ryerson, did you? For some reason, I'm like, we went to university together. I think they were 8mm.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
I think they were, and
8,
so we started on that, which was great because then I also got to cut with real film. And doing that, so that was really cool.
Literally
but once I could get away from that, I was like running. I was like, when are we? Because those cameras would jam all the time, and you'd like blow $80. You know, buying film and then getting it transferred, and they're like, it's all blank. You got to do the project again. And
that's right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Fun days. Right? Yeah. And that's why we have and that's why we have plugins now to simulate, you know, all the problems that would occur in post and doing all that kind of work. Oh yeah. The sheer amount of work in post. Yeah, I mean, it is amazing too, and especially here where so much of what was done, I mean, you got right in camera, on set.
Yes.
Because again, we mentioned this at the very beginning, and if you go back to day 1 here, it's not like you had this huge VFX crew doing stuff for you. You guys really solved and created this as it was going on.
The more you can do in camera, and by in camera we mean on set. So you're watching the monitor and the effect is happening, or the special effect is happening, and you don't need to add anything else in post, the better. Especially, you know, for people who are just starting out. Post takes time. And you kind of want to give them the best.
And that's the key. It takes time, even when you've done so much work in it. Like, you're still handing it over. It's still an enormous amount of work to really give it that final finish look and feel and sound. Yeah. So cool.
Great. You want to hop on some sound?
Let's hop on.
Go on to sound.
And what's our time? How are we doing? Oh, we got another half hour.
Yeah.
We're doing well.
That.
All right. So, again, we are here for just tuning in for the last half hour with Hey DW, Waterson, and Simone Smith, her editor, talking about That's My DJ. Why did I suddenly get into like 80s DJ radio voice? What just happened there?
Do you want to get really close and talk like this?
I know this happens all the time. Interesting tidbit. I started doing that when I was about 11 years old.
Really?
Professionally. Because my voice actually sounded like that when I was 11. Which also was in the early 80s. And that was the style, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, 105.7.
It's like, you could do that. You could flip professions. You could.
Oh boy. It's not well received these days. It's very misunderstood.
I want to continue showing everything from the beginning, so I'm going to scrap all the work that's already been done and continue with this episode 7 we've been working from, which is in here.
Oh man, thank you, Jade, and thank you, Emily. It's been amazing having you two in here. Really, I'm personally honored just now watching you guys. So cool.
It's good. They show up. That's my team.
Sweet. That's right.
The tripod.
Representing.
We don't have a team.
No G apostrophe. That's right. Oh, thanks, Emily. Wow.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions for the actors, they're live in the chat right now. That they can give a shout out to Emily, who is the lead of season 2, and Jade, who is the lead of season 3.
That never happens.
Crash.
And you know what? I'm glad it did, Simone.
Yeah.
Because
in 3 days of doing the stuff.
In 3 days of stuff, right? nothing, and then it does happen. Look, you know, machines.
And I would just like to point out,
Machines
you
barf
can kill me
against
later,
Oh,
that
this
very
GG?
important file, GG, is
Gossip Girl episodes.
Gossip Girl episodes.
That's what I have in case I need to unwind. You know, that's my
That's
yeah.
good. That's really
It's
good.
real discreet there. GG.
yeah, looks professional, but is not.
Initially I thought you were gonna say Gigi Allen. I was gonna go, wow, that's
Yeah,
shocking.
no,
okay.
no.
Not very different.
Gossip Girl.
You can Google that and see what I'm talking about. All right. All right, everyone, don't be shy. Come on, you've got superstars here in the chat.
It's true.
Jade and Emily. Now you know what, Simone? I was going to ask you too. Now, do you do much? I see, like do you do much color coding of clips and things as you're building stuff?
I didn't in the past. On the most recent feature I just started, I'm like starting to get in the habit
Get
of
into it a bit
bringing
more.
in something because I'll show you what makes it easier coming up is when you want to break down all your audio onto different
Right,
tracks.
and that's why I was asking now. Yeah.
So what happens is once the sound editor mixer receives the OMF or AAF, you don't want them to have to look at something that's like it's a bit of dialogue with sound effects peppered in and music. Like they like everything sort of separated by track.
Right.
Which looks like I already have it mostly broken down here. So all of these sort of polywave clips that include every single microphone. This is our production sound. So generally, I mean, I think in most cases here I cut with all the audio, but sometimes audio will do what's called an audio conform. So similar to the picture conform, they go back to the original polywave files that contain all the microphones. Right. Some people like to just cut with single mics or just the mix down.
Right.
I like having everything there, but if that's missing from the timeline and you don't have the conform, now all of a sudden your mixer editor doesn't have access to all the other mics that they could be wanting to work with.
Right.
Someone just asked, any advice on building a team of actors / actresses? Someone has recommended SF casting calls. For me, I mean, I'm really connected to the Toronto scene, obviously, but it's a word of mouth. You know, word of mouth, ask people who are in the industry. Right. I'm looking for an actor who kind of like fits this look or vibe, or this is what the character's all about. Have a kind of a script ready for them, and you can reach out to people's agents and they can get in contact with these actors. And then also do your research. A lot of these actors are on shorts or web series. Right. You can kind of give a look through their content to see if this is somebody you really want to work with. And then if you do, reach out to their agent. Right. That's the best way.
And I think it's worth pointing out too, it's easier today than ever, right? I mean, whether you get through or not, there's always that. But like just to find someone, find agent info, contact info. I know a lot of
it's all on IMDb.
Right. It's all on IMDb, and certainly if you can find
look
them
up on their Twitter.
I mean, most people have, for inquiries, and it's like their agent's email or something.
Exactly, or even on their Instagram and
especially
everybody
on Instagram.
can kind of check that, and I'm sure you could reach out and be like, hey, I'm really interested in working with you as an actor, and maybe ask the actor, can you send me your agent's information, so it isn't just a personal interaction, it
which
is
can be
more
a little
business
weird,
focused.
right?
Exactly. You want to come across as professional as possible, but don't reach out to your actors until you have a script and hopefully a budget.
Someone said here, they're like, something not to do, like direct message. So like you follow an actor, they follow you back, and then you direct message them. So like, oh my God, you're amazing, you're the best, I love you so much, I've watched everything you've ever done. Please, can you send me your information? And you just get this like long rant.
Yeah, don't do that.
Not a good way to start. Not that that's
keep things professional, guys.
Not that that's not can be well received and very genuine, but it's kind of just creepy. And,
totally. And AJ's asking, do you have different versions of saved files for the edit? I came from 3D, so instinctively I have 10 plus versions of where the edit was at a certain time.
In terms of project files or bins, I'm guessing this is in reference to project files.
Project files is what I was thinking,
Usually no, because I tend to keep everything already existing in the project. Right. If I'm starting to find the project's just getting a little too bloated, sometimes I'll do a scaled down version if it's, we've been so far removed from the assembly. This is more of a thing in features when you're actually dealing with really long sequences.
Long form,
So, it's never really a concern here. So, it's more if it's I just need to trim down. But generally, I'll keep working from the same project. But have all the previous work still exist in
Right.
that project.
And as you mentioned yesterday too, if you're doing autosave anyway, you actually have an archive.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
time-stamped archive of where Premiere has already saved iterations of your project throughout the process, throughout a period of time. So,
Yeah. So I want to show you guys something that's cool to me. Is you can relabel these tracks. So when the sound mixer and editor gets it, not only is it organized, but they know what everything is. So I'll do like production 1, 2, etc., etc.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
You know, down to
Well, for the more information you can provide, like sound
Definitely.
and color,
Like
the better,
sound
because then they're
effects.
starting off with all the information.
Right.
They're going to be happier. And
Right.
let me tell you, the people you want to keep happy, other than your actors, is your post team.
That's right.
They sit with your footage the longest. They sit with your project the longest. You know, bring them coffee.
Right.
Give them all the information. Be as organized as possible, because then they're going to really enjoy working with you.
Right.
They're going to really enjoy your product. And at the end of the day, maybe they'll work that 2 extra hours for free. Maybe they'll do that output for free, and
Just
they'll
because,
help you.
right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a little goes a long way in
Yes,
post,
yes,
and like
yes.
you were saying sort of before too, they're QCing it from frame, like
Yeah.
for the first frame.
Yes.
They're gonna look through every frame repeatedly before they even do anything, just to make sure that what you gave them is right.
Yeah.
So it's really a very focused set of eyes and ears, and
Yeah.
you got to treat those teams well too. Yeah.
So once you've gone through and done all that, and if you're looking for where that is, like I usually keep my tracks small, so I'll expand it so where you can see the name, then it'll let you rename. So if you go just once, it'll be grayed out until you can see the name. So once you've done all that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between OMF and AAF. So OMF is the older version, which would have a 2 gig file size limit. So if you're talking about you have a whole feature film when all the audio has handles, it's not going to fit.
Right.
So you'd have to generally break it down either by reels, where it's like 20-minute sections, or by track. So it's like track 1 is an OMF,
Right.
so
right,
on.
right.
Then comes along AAF, which has no limits. So
Right.
go crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what we used on this was AAF. So let me
Okay,
open
yeah.
that panel. You have all these options. Generally, talk to your sound people, see how long of handles they want. I've had everything from 10 seconds to 30 seconds. And, you know, the longer the handles, the bigger the file is going to be, of course.
Right.
So, yeah, if we were to just set that to go for now.
And I think too, maybe you could kind of talk to, like someone asked yesterday. I don't know if we got to, but like why handles at all anyway? You know,
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it oftentimes, you know, you don't want to tie the sound editor's hands. They
Right.
might want to fade something up or you know play around with it.
Right.
So yeah, this is the export process. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Look
Look at it
progress
happening.
bar.
Seizure.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Go
It's very blinky
Yeah.
and right.
Seizure
Stroby.
inducing.
Seizure-inducing. Right. That's what the engineers call it, actually. Yeah.
So
You know it's working.
there are 2 options for this. You can either be all of these files are embedded in the AF, or it's a sort of like a sidecar folder that has all of the clips. But basically, this is sort of like a proto-conform in that it's everything that's used in the cut then exists in this one file.
Right.
I'm just curious to see what the end file size of this guy is.
It's coming.
This is also a part of our lives. The waiting
Right.
For the
Oh,
bar to
yeah.
That's
finish.
right. That's right. It's very deceptive. Oh wait. Yes. No. Yes. One more to go. Right. I do find since like the CC era of Premiere, especially, and changing it to blue from the amber, the progress meters are actually a little bit more informative. Right. There was a lot of the
yeah.
like. zzz,
Yeah,
and there's
I don't know what's
blur.
going. Yeah, here it's
Right.
breaking down. This is the specific
That's
file
right.
that it's rendering out.
But it is still it is kind of tense when these things
Oh,
are
yeah.
going right. You sort of make it stop. Okay,
Yeah.
and there it is.
And there it is. So let's take a look.
How big? How big is it?
How big? Oh, it's still wrapping up here.
Oh, okay.
Give it
Yep,
a moment.
Still working. That's right.
Yeah. So then you do that for all 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice because as an editor, you don't often get to listen to music because you need to hear what you're working on. But once you're into this whole prep stuff, you can kind of
Right.
chill out. So this is 1.99 gigs, and that's all of the sound in this episode contained within it with 720 frame handles, so that's 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
30-second handles.
And you know, generally speaking, and this kind of speaks to the difference between, because people are always asking, not so much for like series and film, but like when you're sharing audio, you know, can I do like a compressed format or whatever? Don't always do uncompressed, because again, if you were talking about the equivalent of actual video files from I mean, 1.99 gigs is like, you know, if the video could look at the audio, he'd be going, small. It's just nothing. It's so minuscule.
Yeah.
Always work uncompressed when you're talking with audio. I mean, obviously, your sound people will not be happy for giving like, oh, it's all in like, you know, MP3 or no. And sometimes that happens with like libraries too, sound effects libraries. You can tell when they've been converted and such. But yeah, I mean, audio is so small. 1.9 isn't insignificant, but it's insignificant in the case of like that same thing in video would be 10, 20 times the size.
So then there's more steps.
Right.
It's not done there.
It's not done yet. Quit talking, dude. That's what you're trying to say. All right, I'll keep my mouth shut.
trying to fit it all in the next 15.
Shutting myself up now.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes if anybody has any questions for us.
Yeah.
Right.
So similar to the process of the picture EDL, we have an audio EDL, which we're only going to send our production audio through. So the difference between this and the AAF would have all of your music, sound effects, all of that stuff that's going to be replaced anyways, whereas the idea is this is just to relink to the original audio files from the
video
sound
footage,
mixer.
right.
Yeah. So we'll do... And you only have to do one channel of each. You don't need both because it'll come in. And yeah, just do that for every track that you have production audio. So in this case, we would have gone to like track 12, I think. So because you can only fit in 4 tracks per EDL, you're doing like a track 1 to 4 EDL, 5 to 8.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, there's all these little things. Yeah.
What would you say, I know, because again, these are just things that people ask, like, how many tracks of audio are you commonly seeing in a production? I mean, you know, that's not super. I mean, I guess of course it'll depend, but you've always got sound design, you've always got some music, you've always got dialogue, you've always got ambient sound. So
I mean,
8 to 12 is like, not uncommon, right? I mean,
in the mid range, like I'm not doing crazy sound design. There's some like Tyler Nelson will do like 70 tracks.
Absolutely, right, exactly.
I'm probably maybe 25.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot. I mean, it's not, but it's, you know,
can,
you open up Premiere.
Like
that's right. You open Premiere, you see 3 and 3. You're like, oh, that should do it.
Mm-hmm,
right. It gets a bit more involved than that.
Right.
Yeah.
We have some more questions. Creative Spirit. Did you use any of the color panel to do any color work in Premiere? We didn't. So we go to a post house to do all of our coloring. But we have worked on a music video before where we kind of didn't want the musicians to be married to the raw footage, because sometimes that happens. People get used to looking at raw footage, which is usually washed out and like very grayscale.
Flat,
And so I've had it before where musicians get attached to it, and then that's what they want the final product to be. But really,
which was never the intent at all, right?
That should not be the intention. So we have kind of pushed contrast and saturation on stuff, just so the client can kind of get a sense of what it's going to look like in color. But then in color, we're going back to the raw files and really starting from scratch.
And that's what you were saying yesterday too, or you may just drop a LUT over everything.
Exactly.
Just like, okay, it's super saturated, you got a lot of contrast. This is the idea. Maybe it'll be more, more towards blue or whatever, but just to give them, because I think that's the thing. People see, I remember we did something with a client and they were looking at the raw stuff, this is years ago, shot intentionally flat. Before that was really well known.
Yes.
Right now, everybody who's kind of doing this even understands on a DSLR how to make it look flat. And they were watching the raw stuff back, and we're looking at the performances going, oh, that's fantastic, we got it. And they're going, yeah, it's very gray.
Yeah.
And you could see they were physically nervous.
Yeah.
And going, no, it's fantastic. They're like, do we need to reshoot? And no one understood why they were saying this. I'm going to hit the mic a few more times with my hand. And then someone's like, okay, wait a second. And at the time, we didn't have Lumetri, so I think we went through After Effects to add a LUT.
Right.
And it's like, okay, this is what it will ultimately look like. Oh, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
But they thought there was something wrong with the camera.
Oh, yeah.
It has no saturation or contrast.
So yeah, this is the audio EDL. It looks exactly like the picture EDL, except now your clip name is a wave. This is usually the root folder from the sound mixer, so on and so forth. And that's it. So your checklist of deliverables, you got picture reference. That goes to both audio and your colorist. You have EDL, XML, locator list, AAF, audio EDL, and then you're good. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Amazing.
cool.
Well, we're almost winding up
That's right. We
with
got
our
six.
time,
we got
guys.
6
We
more
have a couple
minutes.
more questions.
All right, I'm gonna let you drive for 1 second.
Drive.
BRB.
Okay.
All right.
Forthcoming projects for us.
I got a bunch of stuff on the docket.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see what's going to take off first, but I definitely have 2 shorts in the wings that I'm working on, and kind of a concept for a TV series that I'm working on, and also a feature that I have a gun to my head.
And we recently locked a music video.
Yes.
That'll be coming
The
up
new
soon.
music video for Featurette. You guys can check them out. It's the new music video called Bang that I shot in a desert randomly over 24 hours and came up with the concept 24 hours before that. So it was pretty fun. I got to play with prism filters and
Oh, yeah.
did
That
a
was-
lot
that
of
was-
post stuff.
Another case of doing a lot of in Premiere
Yes.
sort of light comping work and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Have you dealt with any VFX houses? Of course. I've also worked as a post supervisor, so I know the guys at Mr. X, which they're attached to Technicolor.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Oh, hi.
No, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. I was interested.
So yeah, VFX. I really want to work with more VFX houses as a way to kind of like sit more in the post process and really polish.
Because I actually am Jason, but this is all visual effects.
Yeah. See?
So
This
that's
is we're using the
how good it
avatar
Example number
technology
one.
here.
All right, I'm going now.
We could only afford 10 seconds,
Yeah.
though.
April Diamond, thank you so much for these 3 days. Thank you. We're excited to kind of get out of Toronto, our home, and come down here and kind of chat about That's My DJ. Again, you guys can check out the show if you go to YouTube and type in That's My DJ. Seasons 1, 2, 3 are all available for free, and you can binge an entire season in 30 minutes.
How do you get your Premiere Pro project to Davinci Resolve? So all those things I just showed of EDL, XML, Resolve will understand all that. So I believe when you go into Resolve, you say import EDL. You point to the directory where all those files are. Bum, 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 done.
With
So-
those sound effects. That happens. It's like bum, bum, bum. And then it
Yeah,
happens.
there's only 3 cuts.
Yes.
yeah.
We are still live. We
Yeah.
are still live. Brad, you can ask the question, Brad.
Yeah. What do you got?
Don't hold back. I feel like there were a couple other questions, but everybody's chatting so quickly. Torontonians are cool people. Yes, we are. Tell everybody.
Yeah. We're cool.
Do you ever commission people to produce music for you? Not really. Usually it's more of a collaboration. I like to be involved in every step. It's kind of like would you commission like somebody to make a short film for you? Probably not. You probably want some hand. If you're gonna put your name on something,
that's right.
you might want to be involved. Yes, we are having a wonderful time, Chris. Jade, love you guys. Misty from the live stream. Yes, it's been like a great
Yeah,
few
it's been
days
awesome.
coming
Yeah.
down here and hanging out with you and talking all about the show.
Oh
and-
yeah, and thank you so much, really, for all the insight. And really, I mean, it's so just amazing to see and hear the process and just kind of the honesty behind all of it, and
Yeah.
really how it's a process. Like
Yes.
there's so much involved, and you can see it when you watch it. That's the difference when you actually follow that process. When you have things, your shot list, when you have your budgets laid out, when you know where it's all going to go, and what you want to achieve ultimately.
Yeah.
That's what delivers this incredible kind of series. And really, when you watch this again, which you can find, That's My DJ on YouTube, all 3 seasons. Got to check these out. It's amazing. And we're so honored to have you guys with us.
Yeah,
so,
thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thank
Simone,
you.
DW, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you again. And we've
great.
got more coming up. The day is not over yet. Andrew, Emery, and Paul are coming back in just a couple of minutes. Thank you, Chris, for my Alice Cooper reference there. You see my dad on my shirt, that's right. And I just met him. I told you that the other day, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I met him a week ago.
Oh, crazy.
It was amazing.
Crazy world. Crazy world.
I love Alice. And so now, and you're going on tour.
I'm going on tour. You can check out all the dates on my Instagram at heydw_x.
Right.
There's a nice big tour poster there. I'm going on tour with Mystery Skulls, opening for him, as well as playing drums for the headliner. And that starts October 24th in LA and ending in New York.
All right.
At the Knitting Factory.
And Simone, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to bring you and DW back for possibly the Make It show.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Because we love you.
Yes.
We love you.
And
feeling is mutual.
And we need to share more. So again, thanks everyone so much for tuning in. And again, coming up, we've got Andrew Embry and Paul Tranny going to be talking some animation, some After Effects, some of the amazing things that Andrew's working on. Thank you so much. Thank you to Emily and thank you, Jade.
Thanks, guys.
You guys are amazing. Much love. Incredible performances. You made my week joining the chat today. And we will see you in just a couple of minutes. So stick around right here on Adobe Live. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Guys.
Awesome.